Okay, let's look at a couple more problems from 9-6, factoring when a is not equal to 1. This is from the guided practice in the book. I think I just changed the variable to x. Remember, we multiply a and c, which is the 4 and the 5. That gives us 20. Now, factors of 20, positive 20, would be 1 and 20 or negative 1 and 20. Could be 2 and 10, negative 2 and negative 10. Could be 4 and 5, negative 4 and negative 5. I need the sum to be negative 9, which is these two numbers. So I break the negative 9 down to negative 4x plus negative 5x plus 5. Then I pair those together so I can factor out a common factor. These have a 4x, leaving me x plus negative 1. Always check to make sure you did it right. 4x squared plus negative 4x. Now, in this particular binomial, you might look at it and say, well, they share a 5. If I take a 5 out, I would be left with negative x, which is not what this one has. But if I take out the negative 5, I am left with a positive x, which is what I want. If I take out a negative 5, this is a negative 1. So when you redistribute, you get negative 5x and a positive 5, which is what you have above. Now, there's a common factor of, that's x minus 1, and then you have 4x plus negative 5. It can be written x minus 1, 4x minus 5. That would be your final answer. You can leave it as plus negative. It doesn't matter which way you write it. Always check 4x squared, correct, minus 5x minus 4x gives me a minus 9x in the middle. Negative 1 and negative 5 would give me a positive 5, which means that is the correct way to factor it. Let's look at problem 4 from the guided practice. This is negative 2y squared minus 5y minus 3. Remember, when you lead off with a negative, factor out a negative 1. This will end up changing the sign of each thing, each term, so they all become positive. Double check by distributing negative 2y squared, negative 5y, negative 3. Negative 1 is part of the factoring. Do not lose that in your final answer. Remember, you multiplied the a and the c, which is from this problem, 2 and 3, which is 6. Now remember, I need a 1 and 6, negative 1 and negative 6. The middle term is a positive 5. I don't need to worry about the negatives. So my other factor pair is 2 and 3. That gives me a sum of 5. So I am going to break that into 2y and 3y. That is the middle term of 5y. I will factor these two, pair these two together in each case. Don't forget the negative 1. In this pair, they share a 2y. I would be left with y plus 1. That gives me 2y squared plus 2y. In the second pair, there is a 3 of common factor, y plus 1. Now, you see that you have the common binomial. Outside is the negative 1 of y plus 1. What's left is 2y plus 3. There's your binomial. This entire thing is the answer. If you come over and check it, negative 1 times 2y squared, the outers 3y, the inners are 2y, the last is 3. Negative 1 times 2y squared plus, add the like terms. When you multiply through, you get negative 2y squared minus 5y minus 3, and that is the original problem. That's the other reason why you can't just leave that negative 1 out when you're factoring it. So this is your final answer.